Hello SLAPAFISH community, and welcome back to another World Tanks console video. So in this video, I'm going to be telling you 10 tanks that had the highest silver boost in the game. So at number 10 is the Jackal. The Jackal has a 60% silver boost and a 20% XP boost, and it also has a 20% crew boost. Also, I forgot to mention, the Jackal is a tier 7 British medium tank. That is also a dual nation trainer. So what does that mean? That means it can train British or French crews. So yeah, pretty nice to have. So let's talk about the stats about the tank a little. What actually makes this tank fun to play and also makes it silver. So the tank has 1,100 hit points. It also has a 4-shot auto litter that does 135 damage per shot, and there's 4 of them, remember, and that gives it a potential damage and its clip of 540 damage, which it also has a 2-second enter clip reload. It fires 13.71 rounds per minute, and it also has a DPM of 1,835. Its penetration is 148 on its standard, 210 on its premium, and 38 on its high explosive. Aim time is 2 seconds, and accuracy is 0.36. Now, the speed of this tank is, it goes 48 forward and 20 backwards, and it also has a horsepower to weight ratio of 15.26. And now the armor absolutely sucks. And since, also I want to mention, like, if there is a tie, I will be breaking the tiebreaker with how much the tank costs to repair. So for spot 10, 9, and 8, there's a tiebreaker. So this is the tiebreaker. So this tank costs 4,400 silver to repair. At the 9th spot is the Hidden. It also has a 60% silver boost and a 40% XP boost, but it costs 2,625 silver to replace. Also, what makes this tank nice is because it's a preferential matchmaking tank. It's a tier 5 German tank destroyer that only plays up to tier 6. So that's really nice to have. Now, this tank is all about concealment and also the gun. It fires 16.22 rounds per minute that does 110 damage per shot. That gives it a DPM of 1,784. Its penetration is 110 on its standard, 158 on its premium, and 38 on its high explosive. It has an aim time of 1.6, and accuracy is 0.35. Now your whole armor, well, your armor kind of sucks. It's 80 at the front, 30 at the sides, and 50 at the back. Also, your speed of the tank is 40 forward and 10 reverse. And you have horsepower per ton at 18.77. And you also have 350 hit points. So, speaking of concealment of this tank, it has a 45% concealment while stationary and a 30% concealment while moving. Its view range is 320 and its signal range is 620. Onto the number 8 spot, which is the M3 Lite, which is also part of the 3-way tie. So the M3 Lite also gets a 60% silver boost, but it also makes 60% XP, and it costs 770 silver to replace. This is a tier 3 Soviet light tank. You would think it would be a dual nation trainer, but it's not. So what makes this tank really good / fun is all about the speed and the gun. The speed, I also do want to mention that this tank has 220 hit points. Also, its concealment is 27% while stationary and moving. Its view range is 280 and its signal range is 325. Now, this tank speed, it goes 61 forward and 20 backwards. It also has a horsepower per ton at 22.31. Its gun depression is 10 degrees, and gun elevation is 25 degrees. It fires 24 rounds per minute that does 40 damage per shot. That gives it a DPM of only 960, which sucks. Now, its penetration is 48 on its standard, 70 on its premium, and 19 on its high explosive. It has an aim time of 1.9 and an accuracy of 0.46. we're done with the tiebreakers. So in the number 7th spot, what tank has the highest silver bonus? It's the T14. It has a 62% silver bonus and a 40% XP bonus. Also, this tank is a preferential matchmaking tank. Just like the Hidden, this is a preferential matchmaking tank. It is a tier 5 American heavy tank that only plays at tier 6, which is actually nice. This tank has 690 hit points. Its turn armor is 102 at the front, 101 at the side, and 101 at the back. Now, the whole armor is 50 at the front, 50 at the sides, and 50 at the back. But at the front, you may have 50 millimeters of armor at the front, but it's really good angled, and your lower plate is 114 millimeters of armor, I think. I don't have it pulled up, but that's off the top of my head. I just know it's really strong. Fires 15.75 rounds per minute. That does 110 damage per shot, which gives it a DPM of 1,733. Its penetration is not that good at 92 on its standard, 127 on its premium, and 38 on its high explosive. Aim time is 2.06. Accuracy is 0.46. And now the speed of the tank is, it goes 30 forward and 10 reverse. It also has a horsepower per ton of 15.07. And I forgot to mention the gun depression, gun elevation angles. So it has 10 degrees of gun depression and 25 degrees of gun elevation. So we move on to the number 6 spot, which is the Catcher KV-1. This is a dual nation tank that trains German and Russian. This is also a tier 5 German heavy tank. So it has a 64% silver boost and a 40% XP boost. It has 650 hit points. Its whole armor is 75 at the front, 75 at the side, and 50 at the back. Its turn armor is 110 all around. It fires 26.09 rounds per minute that do 85 damage per shot, which gives this tank a DPM of 2,218. Its penetration is 112 on its standard, 189 on its premium, and 29 on its high explosive. Aim time is 2.3, accuracy is 0.34. Now the speed of the tank goes 34 forward and 10 reverse. It also has a horsepower per ton at 12.42. Gun depression is 7 degrees and gun elevation is 25 degrees. Next, we move on to the 5th spot. So, I actually don't own the Atomic, so I'm going to be driving the P Victorian, which is very, very similar to this tank. It would have been on this list. It has a 60% silver bonus, but it would have been on this list. It just costs a little bit more than the Jackal. But anyway, so the Atomic has a 65% silver boost and a 15% XP boost. The turn armor is 254 at the front, 89 at the side, and 89 at the rear. Whole armor is 76 at the front, 51 at the side, and 38 at the back. Now you actually have a 16.68 horsepower per ton. That's 50 at the that you go 50 forward and 20 reverse. You also have 1,450 hit points. Now the gun stats is that you fire 8.57 rounds per minute. That gives you a DPM of 1,971. And I forgot to mention the damage per shot is 230. Your penetration is 226 on your standard, 258 on its premium, and 42 on its high explosive. Aim time is 2.3, and accuracy is 0.35. Gun elevation is 18 degrees, and gun depression is 10 degrees. You also have a view range of 390, and a signal range of 750. Now, we move on to the number 4 spot, which is the Luva, or the Low, and it's also the Low Black. So, it doesn't matter what tank you pick, the Low or the Low Black, you still get the 65% silver boost and the 10% XP boost. This tank has 1,650 hit points. Its turn armor is 120 at the front, 80 at the sides, and 80 at the back. Now your whole armor is 150 at the front, 100 at the side, and 80 at the back. You fire 5 rounds per minute. That does 320 damage per shot. That gives you a DPM of 1,600. Its penetration is 234 on its standard, 294 on its premium, and 60 on its high explosive. Aim time is 2.86, and accuracy is 0.33. Now, it has 10 degrees of gun depression, and an amazing 38 degrees of gun elevation. This tank also has 400 meter view range and 710 signal range. The tank also goes 35 forward and 15 reverse, and has a horsepower per ton of 11.11. Now we move on to the third spot, which is the M6A2E1 Bog, or most people call it the Mutant. Basically, this is a Tier 8 American heavy tank that is a preferential tank. So it's basically a Tier 8 tank that plays up to Tier 9. It also has a 67% silver bonus and a 10% XP bonus. Your turn armor is 229 at the front, 89 at the side, and surprisingly 209 at the back. Hull armor is 191 at the front, 66 at the side, and 51 at the back. You also have 1,500 hit points. You have 20 degrees of gun elevation and 10 degrees of gun depression. You fire 5.05 rounds per minute. That does 320 damage per shot. That has a DPM of 1,616. You also have a penetration of 198. And your penetration on your premium is 245, and high explosive penetration is 53. Aim time is 2.29 and accuracy is 0.42. So you got 29 forward and 10 reverse. You have a horsepower per ton of 14.34. Number 2 spot may surprise most of you. The number 2 spot is actually a 3-way tie. It's between the Ragnarok, the Minotaur, and the Hydra. As you remember back to the 10th, 9th, and 8th spot, I did a tiebreaker of what tank actually costs the least to repair. Also, I do want to mention that I put the Minotaur, the Ragnarok, and the Hydra all in the same spot. It's because it's a very limited tank and you can't just go out there and buy this. And most people know the silver bonus of these tanks. So in last place in the number 2 spot is the Ragnarok. The Ragnarok has a 75% silver bonus and a 10% XP bonus. And it costs 8,094 silver to repair. It has 1,420 hit points. It goes 54 forward and 20 reverse. You also have a 18.65 horsepower per ton. You have a 3-shot autoloader that does 320 damage per shot. That gives it a potential damage for its clip of 960. You have an inner clip reload of 1.8. You fire 5.36 rounds per minute, which does 320 damage per shot, as I said before. And you also have a DPM of 1,715. Your penetration is 205 on its standard, 240 on its premium, and 50 on its high explosive. You have 2.3 aim time and 0.38 accuracy. Gun elevation is 20 degrees and gun depression is 8 degrees. And you have no armor to speak of. And now we move on to the second spot. And the number 2 spot, which is the Minotaur, which is the second most expensive tank and second cheapest tank out of the 3 to repair. So the Minotaur has a 75% silver bonus, a 15% XP bonus, and it costs 8,010 silver to repair. You have 1,780 hit points. Your turret armor is 190 at the front, 180 at the sides, and 180 at the back. Your hull armor is 180 at the front, 150 at the sides, and 90 at the back. Your rate of fire is 5.36. That does 320 damage per shot, and that has a DPM of 1,715. Your penetration is 227 on its standard, 289 on its premium, and 62 on its high explosive. Aim time is 2.9 and accuracy is 0.4. Gun depression is 7 degrees and gun elevation is 22 degrees. Now, in the number 1 spot for the number 2 spot is the Hydra at 75% silver bonus, 10% XP bonus, and it costs 6,975 silver to repair. It also has 1,550 hit points. Its turret armor is 150 at the front, 100 at the side, and 100 at the back. The hull armor is 130 at the front, 100 at the side, and 60 at the back. Your rate of fire is 4.03 rounds per minute. That does 440 damage per shot. That has a DPM of 1,773. Its penetration on its standard is 225. Premium penetration is 265, and high explosive penetration is 68. Aim time is 3.4, and accuracy is 0.47. Gun depression 6 degrees, and gun elevation is 20 degrees. Now, what you all have been waiting for is the number 1 spot. Now, the number 1 spot is going to actually surprise you, which is the British Sexton 1, which is a Tier 3 British artillery. Now, this ain't the Sexton 1 that's overpowered. That's the American Sexton 1. This is the British Sexton 1. The British Sexton 1 has a 81% silver bonus, which is the highest in the game, and a 60% XP bonus. Now, there ain't much stats to talk about with the Sexton 1 because it is the artillery. Its penetration on its standard, which is high explosive, is 44. AP rounds is 92, and penetration, and its third round is 71 millimeters of penetration. High explosive does 280 damage, and your 2 AP rounds do 180 damage. So, you also have 9 degrees of gun depression, which is actually nice for shotgunning. Your aim time is 5.5, and accuracy is 0.76. Your splash radius is 1.39 on your high explosive. So that's it. That's the top 10 highest silver earners in the game by silver bonus. So if you like this video, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Also remember to SLAPAFISH, because why would you not? And peace out. See ya.